Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 24th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I use to guide virtually every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of others over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, hats off to Storm. He is our primary moderator. That was easy to say. He's the one that keeps all the technology running. And rest assured, with me at the helm, that's a problem. He's also the one that helps to ensure that this place remains a safe haven for everybody. Well, for virtually everybody. Understanding that bullies and people are looking to cause a problem will end up getting kicked to the outside where they cannot operate in the chat room and will not be able to ask their questions. If, however, you come in and you're intending on being a problem and you decide not to be and just treat everybody properly, everything continues normally. Now, that said, we also have LA Moon, who is a little occupied right now, but still watches out to make sure my health is going right. So far, I'm still breathing, so I figure we're ahead of the game. Now, that said, I look up here and we have Eternity Eternal is in with the gold. How's it going, Eternity? Glad to see you could join us. Then we have Renee Andrews in with the silver. And I know you're always busy, Renee. So hopefully things are coming into balance. Operation, you are in with the bronze. So I do hope things are going well on your end. And, things are moving forward. Now today, we're back into the weekend. We're looking at aliens. And today we are looking at literally what is Earth. Now, before any of you get on it, first and foremost, I am absolutely not an astrophysicist. I'm not an astronomer. There's a lot of things I'm not. One of which is subtle. Okay, now, just skipping down here. And we do have Operation. Oh, there we go. Operation is saying hello, Keith and Kira.
Hi.
And, yes, the journey is continuing and will continue for as long as I can keep holding it together. Thus far, I'm not dead, so we're ahead of the game. Now, what is Earth? Well, let's start with this is the planet we're all on. Now, the really odd part about it is I see so many people just wantonly polluting the place. And what I mean by that is, if you have one person dropping a candy bar on the ground, it's not much. Okay, you put 100,000 people doing it, and all of a sudden you got a mess. Now, I probably have the dimensions a little wrong. Okay, but from my understanding, there is approximately in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, I believe, my island that is literally 3 miles in diameter of garbage. Okay, now this is what we're doing. Now this is what we're doing to ourselves. Okay, there we go. Renee pipes up and goes, "Hi, Kira."
Hello.
And by the way, just for your edification, they're both spelling your name right.
Hi, good for you guys.
Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of rumor about what Earth is. Okay, now you know Earth as Earth. Some of you know her as Gaia or Mother Nature. I know her as Ita because that's what she told me her name was when I got here. And yes, when I got here, you get to believe it or not, take your call. Okay. The planet had not been completely formed. Okay, in all fairness, it hadn't been completely built because it started off with the core being built. Then Esau came in and brought life to it. Then it formed from there. Now, when you look at that, okay, the planet itself is our home. But one of the things you got to remember is so many people on Earth from every walk of life, whether we are talking the industry moguls, the politicians, the clergy, whether we're talking regular people, business owners, it doesn't matter. Even the poor are joining in on this. Now, I will tell you, my opinion, if people could work together to clean the planet up as well as what they're working together to poison it, we'd be in a lot better shape. See, the reality is we are living, where are we here? Operation is going, Keith, did you have past lives on other planets? The short answer is a lot of them. Okay. The reality is, Operation, that if you take a look at the Big Bang Theory, okay, and I don't mean the movie, I don't mean the show, but the theory of how the universe began. I learned to call that a flip. Okay. And I went down quite literally the length of time I've been around is mind-boggling. But I was in the last flip as well. Okay. So yeah, I've been on many different planets. This one I made an agreement. I'll be here until Esau dies. Okay. And yeah, that could be a while. By the way, it's not likely I'll be here in this body. Some of what I'm dealing with, some of what I'm working on, and one of the new novels that I'm writing is literally about another planet I've been to. Okay. But when we take a look at this planet, this is where the aliens come in. We're told, oh, this is a prison planet. This is a quarantine planet. This is a petri dish for other races to experiment. And we were all transplanted here by aliens. Okay. Understand, Earth is our home. It is not a prison. Let's face it, with the number of abductions, slow down. With the number of abductions going on, okay, we can't viably call it a prison planet. Can you picture a prison with that many jailbreaks? And who in their right mind breaks somebody out of prison and puts them back? Okay. Ultimately, this is what you're looking at. Are we a petri dish? Only in as much as evolution is at hand. The funny part about it is you control your own evolution. Now, you remember I mentioned yesterday I was going to be clearing the clutter out of here. Well, that bookshelf over there, oh, you can't actually see it. Let's just cure that problem. That bookshelf is now empty. Okay. It boils down to this. When you take a look at things, you've got the option of what you're going to do with this. Now, the aliens, the off-worlders, number one, they did not transplant us. Were they here? Are there all kinds of artifacts that show they were here? Certainly. But they didn't bring us here. Unless you count the spirits in the first place. Because there's a lot that went on, and no, I can't prove it, so you get the fun on that one. Okay. Like you, I keep questioning, did I actually lose my mind? Thanks, Operation. I appreciate that. Operation is just saying, good job on the bookshelf. And the stuff went where it was supposed to. Now it's a case of bringing stuff back in and organizing it properly. But the aliens did come. There's all kinds of records of them. Okay. And as I've held before, and this is why when people go, oh, they're coming back, they're going to conquer us. With the length of time they've been here, if they were going to conquer us, let's just use a little bit of common sense. Why haven't they done it? We're not that difficult to beat. Let's face it. You throw somebody down a set of stairs, odds are they're going to get hurt. They're a pretty fragile race. Yeah, Renee goes, I'm glad you saved the robot. Absolutely. We even checked his stomach contents, the white drawers, and made sure we had them all as well. So when I say we're clearing out all the wreckage, all the clutter, I'll tell you, it works phenomenally well to organize, to get the energy running smoothly. Now, one of the important factors we got to realize here is when you're dealing with this planet. Okay, we're already off Earth. Mankind, and don't take my word for it. I mean, heck, you don't take politicians' word for it. Why take mine? I know that was rude, but you think about it. Mankind is already on the moon, already on Mars. I don't mean the lander that we just put there. Okay, that just went in the last decade or so. I'm talking about the fact we're already established on Mars. Okay, we're already on Io, which is one of the moons of Jupiter, and on Titan, which is one of the moons of Saturn. So we're not having a shortfall here. Okay, so if this planet's quarantined, I'll tell you, the off-worlders are doing an absolutely pathetic job of keeping things contained. Okay, because a lot of the aliens literally look at humans as a plague in the making. With mankind's ability to manipulate 0 point energy and mankind's curiosity factor, okay, it's one thing, if you take a look at it, people have long held, you take a computer, like a normal laptop, power it up so it's got the power, you put it out in the outback and we're just going to say Australia, a so-called third world country, which, by the way, in my opinion and my outlook on the world, this is a one world civilization. Certainly there are poor people on it. Not that they're any less important, but you take a non-technologically involved or evolved human anywhere on the planet, put a laptop in front, their curiosity is likely to get a hold of them and get the better of them, and they will start pushing buttons until sooner or later the computer fires up. Now, this is fine with a laptop, but take that same attitude with a planet buster, with a weapon that can shatter a planet, and get a human going around, what's this button do? The outcome is inevitable and devastating. This is one of the things that the off-worlders are concerned with. It's also one of our greatest strengths, by the way, because humans have this neat ability. Humans can turn around, take a complicated problem, take the most illogical random choice, go in a bizarre direction, and still land on their feet. Okay, and before somebody jumps on that, well, if we're that good, why, we could defeat any alien invasion anyway, except one little kicker, and that is the level of technology. Now, mankind can't even pull together and stop fighting pointless wars. Now, a lot of these races have gone through that. Okay, the Teklek, which are a 4.5 to 5.5 foot long reptilian raptor-like race, okay, they have a civil war going on. Simultaneously, they are at war with the Strazazians. So what does Earth hold that both of them want? Well, let's face it. The Strazazians have this idea. Now, those are your 7.5 to 8.5 foot reptilians. Okay, they've got this brilliant idea. Here's a fledgling race. It's an infantile race that is growing and has phenomenal potential. So let's see where they can go with it. They won't give military weaponry or, any sort of military weaponry at all. They will help with communications, but they only give it enough that humans can figure it out. Because in case you hadn't noticed, when you take a human, and this applies to almost, by the way, when you take human and you go, here, here's a gift you can do, here's something you don't have to work for, it's yours. Humans don't know how to work with it. Okay, they take it for granted and run into a problem. Now, here's the kicker. What this place really is from the off-worlder standpoint, from the reticulans, this is a phenomenal source for their hybridization program. Okay, the human genome is pretty much uniquely situated to provide genetic material to grow the hybridized cultural communicators. Flubber Lane, how you doing? You are in with honorable mention. Wait a minute, I think I got that wrong. I do believe that's already been taken. Eternity's got silver operation, took ons. And no, I did not. You are in, Flubber, with honorable mention. Now, the reticulans see this as a beautiful resource for their hybridization program. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, no, there has been no, we're going to make an agreement, you can kidnap X number of people, but you give us weapons. The politicians on Earth have not, to the best of my knowledge, got this kind of an agreement. Okay, the reality of it is this. Nobody, yes, humans have their faults, and there are slave traders on Earth, even today. And it's not just the people in the Far East or the people in the Deep South. There are people that are trading people's lives like cotton candy and hockey cards. I mean, it's just bizarre. Okay, but the reticulans look at this going, this is the tool we need that we require to build the cultural interpreters. Okay, you go to the Techlec go, bonus, they got lots of material, they got lots of resources, we got a problem coming in, and by golly, humans are delicious. Okay, so with this in mind, they've got their own purpose. The Moldok like the hunting grounds, but the Moldok will not go after civilians. They only go after people in war zones. Okay, reason being, they're a challenge. Humans think outside the box. Quite frankly, half the humans don't know where the box is. And for some of those, for those of you with a twisted mind, we're not going there. Now, the important fact we have to look at is, what is Earth? Earth is a starting place. We have a fledgling race that is still learning how to get along in the sandbox. Okay, we have the potential to take Earth as it is and turn it either into an absolute incredible paradise, or we can blow it to pieces and end up living in a cesspool. Your call. For me, I'm taking a look at the cesspool this world is, and yes, I did call it that. Okay, and I'm looking at my world, my office, my house, my apartment. I'm changing this now, which is why that shelf behind me is no longer occupied with a whole pile of garbage. And there we go. Storm is just giving us the written issue. Eternity Gold, Renee Silver, Operation Bronze, Flubber, honorable mention. Okay, now do not get me wrong. I'm still working on how I'm going to work with it and do something with that. But every single person coming in here is, in my opinion, equally important in most regards. Storm it's a simple issue with Storm. Storm doesn't show up. I run into a technological problem. We've got a hiccup. So technologically, yeah, Storm has a skill set that absolutely solves a lot of problems for me. Okay, Me, I don't show up. Guess what? Nothing happens. Okay, but every one of you, your insights, your input, your questions are all equally encouraged. Okay, because I'm still working on how to make things happen. I keep an eye on the subscription here, because here we have on Earth, we've got 8 billion people plus. And I swear it seems on occasion that 4 to 5 billion of them are striving to drive wedges between everybody else, or striving to go, I'm better than all of you, so I deserve a bigger pat on the back. Okay, I'm telling you, no matter how good somebody thinks they are, it really is a bit of a hiccup. Okay, because I've yet to meet anybody, you love this one, God included, that is more that's more valuable or more important than anybody else. Okay, everybody's got their skill set. Many of the off-world races that I deal with, people go, well, how do you deal with them and get along? Well, because I don't see them as any different than people. Okay, to me, they are just another person, just another driver. And considering the number of them I'm dealing with, and come to think of it, tomorrow is Sunday, so we will get to some of that mess. But we are now we're literally halfway through Final Edit. Okay, on Race of the World 2nd edition. Okay, and I've got some brand new information coming out there, but I keep adding races to the back end. So I'm already working on the setup for Volume 3. Needless to say, a little bit of a backlog. Okay, one of the things we have to remember about this planet is this is your planet. This is a launching point for every idea you can come up with. Okay, and rest assured, for those of you that think, oh, don't get into writing, don't get into music, don't get into art because you can't make money. Money's got to get back to being a secondary cause. It's got to be a side effect. The off-worlders look at people going, look at the human race going, you've got this phenomenal backdrop of a wonderful planet. And you guys, never mind the wars, never mind the arguments, you guys are turning around and polluting it. Okay, so there are many races coming along going, well, this ought to be entertaining to see how they solve this problem. Oh, look, instead of talking to each other, they opened fire. Very wise, very mature. And then they're sitting there talking, it's like, and humans are going, when can we become part of the consortium? Here's the kicker. Become part of the human race first. In one stage, like William Shakespeare, fabulous man. Okay, he put it brilliantly and I think it was him, I might be misquoting. Okay, I believe it was William that turned around and said, the world is a stage and everyone has their part. The question is, and this is the same question many of the off-worlders are asking. And by the way, they ask the same thing of every single race that came into it in the first place. Operation Shutdown is asking, are the people of Earth making progress in the eyes of the off-worlders and the consortium? The answer is 100% yes. Okay, as evidenced, as it was pointed out to me, by the construction of the UN. I said construction. By the building of the UN. That is set up to build a one world government, not a dictatorship. Okay, and yes, in answer to the other question goes hand in hand. They do watch human politics, and some of the maneuvers are being pulled with members of the UN that have made stupid moves. Okay, the off-worlders are going, okay, removing them from their seat of acceptance is the right move. the UN is a good background. It is a good backdrop because it's not about a dictatorship. But that's where we have to look at. Then you look at the other side. Okay, when they look at the spiritualistic movement, they go, okay, you got the right idea. Now, if you're going to claim world unity, you might want to start accepting the other religions. Okay, it's just a thought. But if you're going to call the race unified, or even one religion unified, start getting it down to one belief structure. Now, there's always variations. Okay, they look at the severance of the countries that are coming apart, and they're going, okay, you had the right idea by putting them together, but you're screwing up by letting greed direct you. And yes, there are planets there are races that are far more greedy and far more materialistic than mankind has ever become. But when you balance it all together, they are certainly, according to the consortium, humans are on the verge. And this is why individuals are being handed this information. I'm not the only one being told. Okay, at least I hope not. You guys get to figure that out because I don't go looking. And as I've said, if people want to talk to me on air, absolutely drop me a line. I will come onto your stream. I will talk about whatever it is within reason. There's a couple of things that I won't even consider touching. But if people are interested, absolutely, I'm not that hard to find. Drop me a line and we will arrange time to come on. Okay, the only one that right now and for the foreseeable future that's already got a locked period is with Spaced Out Radio, where I'm on there the first Friday of every month and have been for a decade now. Well, roughly a decade. But the rest of it we can work around. Okay, but the off-worlders are looking at the human race going, okay, you've already gotten off the planet. You already have proven in orbit you can get along. Now, take that getting along, that cooperation, back down to the planet. Take it down to the individuals and get along. You do that, and all of a sudden you've got the capacity to get to become an active member of the consortium. Now, here's the funny kicker of it. Okay, if you take a look at it, if you end, and this is literally what these off-worlders are doing, they're going, okay, we used to watch Sunday morning cartoons. Off-worlders turn on the local politics and the battlefields and go, well, let's see what's on the Earth Channel today. And yes, I'm over-exaggerating a little. They don't call it the Earth Channel. To them, this is Sol 4. Why Sol 4? Well, Sol is our star. Okay, 4 is the number of the planet orbit that we're in. And yeah, I know. Everybody keeps talking about Earth being only the third planet. There is a planet, and yes, NASA knows about it. Okay, inside the sun's photosphere, closer to the sun than what Mercury is. And the off-worlders already know about this. So this planet is a staggering wealth of information. The Martokians, who happen to be living in Mars, and I do mean in Mars, see Earth as a fabulous field trip. Because from an educational standpoint, the xeno-socioeconomic impact of the evolving human race on the local environment is going to be phenomenal. Really well worth watching. Even more enjoyable to participate in. Question is, how much are you going to participate? Now, there are many of you that will look at me and go, look, you're talking about something that puts you way out in left field. And I would agree. I constantly question my own mind because of what I see and what I document. And then I get people coming along going, oh, what you're saying makes total sense. Okay, like I've seen this before. I'm going, okay, if I'm out of my mind, how am I getting so much in the way of corroboration? Okay, now, as Storm has put it, at least I think it's Storm that keeps putting it out there, absolutely, for any of the books I've been writing, if you go to the link at the top of the stream, it says buymeacoffee.com/innervoiceJ. This is the way to get a hold of any one of the books I've written, as well as get a hold of me for either your own consulting, business consulting, or for that matter, if you're interested in getting me online onto your show. Okay, I'm absolutely open to all of it. The one thing I really am striving to do is help people realize, literally, that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I've talked about what, many people see Earth as a prison planet, as a petri dish. Okay, some people see it, some of the off-worlders see it as a cesspool, or another term for it would be the armpit of the universe, because of the amount of garbage that's going on here. Now, in my experience, this isn't the worst place. Okay, it's got a lot of potential, a lot of things going for it. What we have to realize is that Earth itself is on the verge of evolving. Now, here's a kicker for you. Okay, the other part of this, and it may be 100 to 150 years before this is corroborated. Okay, I have no doubt it will be. Earth at this point is listed as a single, as simply one sun. Okay, we only have one sun in this solar system, which we do. But here's the part that you may not be aware of. Our star, what we call Sol, that star is part of a trinary star system. Okay, way beyond the capacity of humans to really track at this point. Okay, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And of course, somebody out there is going to be looking at me going, "Where's your proof?" Sorry, guys, I leave the proof to somebody else. The fact of the matter is, usually what ends up happening is I'll make a comment, and 30 or 40 years later, it gets proven. Okay, now, like I said, this one on the trinary is likely to be a good 100 to 150 years. Odds are I won't be alive at that point. Okay, but Earth itself is a phenomenal melting pot to bring not just human cultures together, to bring other races. Hence why we have, the Reclonicon, the Elfid, the Kaldar. These are all races that evolved on Earth. Okay, you know the Reclonicon as Sasquatch. Okay, the Wara, who look very similar to the Reclonicon, are another race that is a lot more aggressive. But again, there are many of them on this planet. Many of you guys have seen them, or more to the point, have seen their nesting areas in the woodlands. So there's a lot of options, a lot of opportunity with this planet. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that keep going, oh, the aliens are kidnapping humans to make them dig for gold. Guess what? Gold is not. Now, I will not argue that gold may well be the best conductor that mankind knows about. Okay, but because from my standpoint, they've got 118 elements on the Terran periodic table of elements. I've seen a chart with 250. Gold is not the best conductor. Okay, but it may well be the best one that mankind knows of. Earth itself is a stop point. It's a tourist attraction. It's a hunting ground. You get the picture? It depends on which race you talk to. But the one thing it is not, well, the two things. It's not a quarantine planet. It is not a petri dish for somebody's bizarre experiments. Okay, we are our own people. Yes, we were built. Okay, we were built in some people's eyes that would qualify as created. Okay, call it what you will. I mean, you can call it a peanut butter sandwich for all that matters to me. But mankind was built. When you start looking at it, humans couldn't survive. No race can. Okay, no race can survive if you've only got one pair to start with in a binary genome. And by the way, the binary genome is very, shall we say, limited. Now, the nice part about what we're looking at here is when we work together, and what you're seeing in this office is all the junk gets cleared out of the way. Okay, what you're seeing is exactly what I was talking about when I said, let's change the world one pocket at a time. Because think about it. If I change my apartment and the people next to me start changing theirs, and somebody on the other side of the country goes, hey, that's a good idea, let's clear out the clutter. You start doing that, sooner or later, we will start overlapping with each other. Net result, the planet comes back online. And I'll tell you, once you learn to listen to the planet, once you learn to listen to Esau, and she talks to you already, most of you won't listen. Most of you, in all fairness, don't know how to listen. Okay, there are those of us that deal directly with her. If I keep walking like that, I'm going to be in trouble. I love vertigo. And I left out front again. I'll be good. But that said, we're going to hold that for 10 seconds so I don't do something real silly. Now, if there's one thing I wish I could contain, it would be vertigo. But that apparently is not one of my lucky points. Not to worry, it's just salt. But it was something a friend of mine discovered, was that when my salt level drops, I get vertigo like that. But this planet, when we work together, it can work out really nicely. Sorry about the hiccup there, guys. It's just a question of deciding, are we going to work together, or are we going to continue to find new and exciting ways to create barriers and to create dissonance? And this is one of the things the consortium discovered. And frankly, every member species has discovered the same thing. If you strive to prove you're better than the guy next to you, on the whole, it creates dissidence of a staggering level on the planet. And regardless of what the leaders or the educators are telling you, you have a brain of your own. It may well be long overdue time to start utilizing it. Okay, ask yourself this. I wear glasses now. Many people associate glasses with intelligence. I'm telling you, and feel like one of the densest people on the planet on occasion. But these are they are getting to be removable. I still can't drive without them, but that's okay. I don't have a car anymore. So I'm guessing if I don't own a car, driving is probably a bad idea. But this planet is a place for you to learn how to utilize your own ability. Okay, now, here's an interesting thought. Okay, just a thought for you. What would you do if I told you that this planet is at this stage? It wasn't built as a training ground. It was built as a home. But now that you've evolved to the point you can theoretically think, it's time to put the scale, the attributes of this planet and the available options to use. It's time to become the individual that you are capable of becoming. If you don't know how, that's what we're aiming at doing here, is reminding you of simple tools that can get you into the right position, where you'll be able to deal with the idea of first contact or of solid contact. I love the people that turn around and go, I want to meet an alien. I don't care which one, I just want to meet an alien. Now, this is a great idea. I like it, except one small little glitch. Half these guys will eat you just on principle, and the other will do it by accident. Okay, but what we got to remember is no matter whether we are talking about aliens, ancient races, humans, they are all one and the same. You're all individuals. The off-worlders see Earth as a staggering marker, or if you will, reference point for watching the xeno-socioeconomic evolution of a species at the period in time where you're either going to start working together or you're going to blow yourself all the way back to the Stone Age. Okay, and yeah, I realized, I was talking to somebody the other day, they went, mankind will never go back that far. But this is where you may find you've got a problem. Off-worlders are looking at it, and they still see humans essentially as 2-year-olds. Okay, very inquisitive, very temperamental, and frankly, very short-sighted. Okay, what we have to realize is it's not, I talked about what they see, but something we haven't really talked about is what do you see Earth is? Or what do you see as Earth? What is the potential you see for life here? For the society here. This is one of those other things that is being watched. And yes, if you think that the different governments around the world are doing a lot of watching, and they're kind of looking over your shoulder and watching what you're doing, they are. Okay, they were doing it way before computers came into line. The off-worlders have it down to a fine art. They're literally looking into your empathetic patterns to see what your intentions are looking like. Okay, and I'm looking at this going, what are we missing? And the best I can tell you at this point is the educational system on all levels has been compromised. Now, to what end, I can surmise a number of things, but I've dealt with off-worlders my entire life. You can take that or leave it, depending on what you want to do with it. Okay, the important factor is that when you deal with this, absolutely not Operation. Operation's asking Keith, would you consider inner Earth people to be off-worlders? No. Okay, they are the inner world people are simply other races that evolved on Earth via various different means and moved underground, moved to the inner Earth when the world took one heck of a nosedive. Okay, and yes, it took a nosedive because of a massive war. Okay, now the war itself did not involve Esau. Esau being her Earth. Okay, she did not participate in said war, but her children did. Thing we gotta realize is the surface of the Earth is not the only place that can support life. It's where humans feel more comfortable. And given that humans tend to reproduce faster than rabbits, okay, the ancient races, they returned Earth to the people, or more to the point, they turned it over to humans. And there were two races that evolved on Earth that left Earth in mankind's care. Those would be the Mobians, who took off about 50,000 years ago, and the Anunnaki, who took off, as near as I can understand. I think they started looking at taking off probably, well, that would be a few million years back, because they took off knowing they were too large to operate with humans in a functional fashion. So they petitioned the consortium when they met them to build ships to get these guys to get off the planet. Net result, the Anunnaki, you've seen skeletons of them, you just may not realize it. Okay, the Anunnaki are a species that evolved here and simply left. They do come back periodically. You just don't tend to hear about them. I mean, let's face it, they don't go into places like New York City, or for that matter, the heartlands of the prairies. They just don't. Primarily because watching a human-looking entity that's 30 feet tall may throw most humans into a bit of a tailspin. This is what we're looking at. And when you start considering that, when people figure out that the size, literally speaking, size does not matter in most things, okay, you gotta realize that there are certain things that don't add up. I met one guy that told me he was a natural half-breed human Anunnaki. Well, a mature Anunnaki capable of reproduction happens to be 15 feet tall. Now, can you see a bit of a hiccup here? Okay, but the off-worlders are still looking at Earth from a number of different directions. Some of them look at it as a way to evolve their own people. Okay, some of them look at it as, hey, there's some neat little exotic pets we can take. And yes, they do that. By the way, it is not, to the best of my knowledge, sanctioned by the government. On any government for that matter. As a matter of fact, and I call it fact because, well, it's what I know. Where the consortium comes in is they literally forbid that kind of behavior. Okay, and what we're looking at here is a species that is slowly evolving. I'm just waiting for mankind to realize that the breaks you put between people, like I waited for the reticulans to figure out their different skeletal structures, did not make them different people. It made them say there were certain traits that each one had that made them more qualified or more suited to certain setups. But it didn't make them better. Okay? Every race has its strengths, every race has its weakness. And the one thing I've found with humans, and the one thing that many of the off-worlders have found, is that the egocentric drive of many humans is what's causing a lot of the problem. Now, I realize many of you are going to sit there going, are you telling me I'm egotistical? I'm not saying a thing about it, about an individual. I'm just telling you what I've been observing and what I've been talking to the off-worlders about. This planet has a lot of potential, and in all fairness, with its abundant variety of flora and fauna at the close proximity to an interstellar jump point, okay, this place has the potential of becoming a mind-bogglingly vibrant port of call. Okay, and yes, give us another 150 years. It is quite possible that you will see a setup like what you see in Star Trek, in Star Wars, with an interspecies bar setup. It's quite possible in the next 100 to 150 years you'll see this. Well, in all fairness, I doubt very much any one of you will see it. Okay, even the newborns that are now alive, I would not expect them to be seeing it. Now they could start seeing the starting edge of it, because like I said, you're looking at about 100 years down the road. For me, that means I'd have to make it to be 160. I'm thinking that might be pushing it. Although, as I told my fiance, I'm going to give it a shot. You know, ideally, I'll make it like I warned her that I'm here. You know, if I make it through April, which we just passed, odds are I'll make another 30 or 40 years. Okay, and that still holds. Now, why she would want to tolerate me for 30 or 40 years is anybody's guess. The off-worlders are going to continue coming here. Okay, I have not heard one species turn around and go, oh, we're going to invade Earth. And yeah, you are right. I don't listen to every species. I don't hear every conversation. Although there are days when I question that. But what we gotta realize is that the off-worlders are simply people in other bodies. Okay, you gotta remember, every sentient race, every sentient plant has a soul. Okay, and it's that soul that is the driver. Now, yes, this does mean if you don't desire to come back to this world as a human, you have the option of coming back as something else. And literally, the options are almost limitless. Okay, I will tell you certain limitations. For instance, you desire to come back as a purebred Pleiadian. You're not coming back to Earth without a completely sealed suit, because you won't survive it. Pleiadians cannot breathe Earth's atmosphere. Quite frankly, it's actually highly toxic. So I guess technically they could breathe. Just a very limited amount of time. Now, one of the things that I do look at here is I'm looking for a way to really make things evolve here. And I'm talking about with this stream, with positive perceptions. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm not done. Okay, and I will tell you, yes, I have absolutely opened the door and left the off-worlders an open invitation. You know, some of you have seen in the background, you've seen shadows go by, you've seen different silhouettes. And the reason I know you've seen them is because people keep pointing them out. Okay, so yes, I have left this door open. Now, the nice part about it is I am still very open to finding more information. I'm still passing and translating information to get it out to you guys so I can get as much out as possible before I drop dead. Thank you very much, Eternity. I really appreciate that. And this is what I mean, guys, about everybody pitches in. Poetically mistaken. How you doing? Glad to see you. You know, we run short on people on occasion, And people in the chat room, in this case, Eternity, lets us know that we're down to the 5. With this in mind, okay, tomorrow we're going to be taking a look at, I've got it written right here, we are going to be taking a look at drones and orbs and their purpose and their variety, the whole 9 yards on Earth. Okay, so I do hope to see you here tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific. Okay, that's 9 p.m. PST. We will be back. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.